I recently made a short video about Anita Sarkeesian and why I believe her arguments for the supposed oppression of women by the video game industry are garbage. After watching my video again, I can see how I could have gone into more depth as far as why her arguments are garbage. So firstly, I'd like to start off by explaining what it is she's advocating. She believes the video game industry objectifies women by over-sexualizing female protagonists in video games. She created a fundraiser, Tropes vs. Women, to collect money so she could somehow fight this objectification. In my video, I described how male characters in video games are also objectified, but Anita only focuses on the objectification of female characters to make it sound one-sided. I had someone tell me my argument didn't mean anything because two wrongs don't make a right. And I agree that two wrongs don't make a right, but he failed to address how I never said that I believed the video game industry was doing anything wrong in the first place. I don't think there's anything wrong with giving a female character big boobs and a thin waist, just as I don't think there's anything wrong with giving a male character huge muscles and a deep voice. The fact of the matter is, that's what sells. Some people like it, and some people, like Anita Sarkeesian, don't. But just because she doesn't like it doesn't mean we should give her money. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that just because the video game industry makes money by using stereotypes, everyone should automatically be happy with what they produce. All I'm saying is the video game industry is simply doing what they know will make money. And if you don't like what they produce, you don't have to buy it. It's a completely optional transaction. So why is she a con artist? Because she's deceiving people by making them believe there's an issue when there really isn't, and getting them to donate their hard-earned money to a fundraiser centered around this non-existent issue. In short, she's tricking them into giving her money, i.e., she's a con artist. Anyone with half a brain would at some point ask, what exactly is her plan of action? How is she going to take a global mega industry and change it to suit her impossible standards with a few $100,000? The more one examines her motives, the more that person should realize that Anita's full of shit. Oh, and let's not forget the picture she chose to represent the supposed oppression and objectification of women by the video game industry. In my video, I mentioned how only 4 of these characters appeared over-sexualized. Then I mentioned how it made no sense to me that Miss Pac-Man is pictured on here since she isn't even a human character. I had someone tell me that video game characters can be over-sexualized whether they're human or not. Obviously, this argument is based on subjectivity, so I understand that someone out there would be able to consider Miss Pac-Man over-sexualized, even though I can't wrap my mind around such a notion. To me, it would be akin to saying the elites from Halo objectify men because they're extremely muscular. It just doesn't make any sense. I just can't help but get the feeling that once people start claiming Miss Pac-Man objectifies women, they're just at the desperate phase of pulling shit out of their asses. But what's most mysterious to me, which nobody seems to talk about, is just how Anita wants female video game characters to look like. Does she want them to be flat-chested with no butts? Does she want them to be morbidly obese? Or would she just make the vague remark that female video game characters should just look average? But then what is average? There are just too many follow-up questions because her argument is based on subjectivity. At some point, she'll disagree with everyone on one thing or another, even people whose opinions are similar to hers. I just don't see what her end goal is. I believe that instead of bashing on video games that video game producers spent a great deal of time and effort to create, she should get a hold of some video game producers and use the money donated to her fundraiser to create what she believes to be a perfect, non-offensive game. And people who hold opinions similar to Anita's can just buy her game. And although I disagree with her position, I would respect her a lot more for taking a step that involves something tangible, like creating a video game that demonstrates her idea of how women should be portrayed in the video game industry. However, until then, she's just asking people to give her money because she doesn't like what some video game characters look like, without providing any sort of tangible plan of action using their money that will do anything about it. That's why she's a con artist. And if you don't believe she's a con artist, then tell me, what is she?